Marcus Aurelius is amongst the most interesting philosophers. He's certainly the most interesting Stoic philosopher specifically, and he is more than likely the most interesting philosopher king, if you will. Or a king that just so happened to be a philosopher. Well, compared to anyone else, he's certainly the closest to Plato's philosopher king. I wouldn't go as far as to say that he was one, right? So, think about this for a second. Marcus Aurelius is essentially the king of the world. He's the king of Rome, the emperor of Rome, and for 20 years, 19 years, he is able to collect all the money in the world if he wants. He can have all the gold collected that the world had at that time and melt it and turn it to one throne, right? If he gets mad enough, he can kill anyone for any reason. He can kill everyone for any reason if he so wills. And he can even have sex for any reason, with anyone at any time, no matter the consequences of it, because there won't be any consequences for him, right? But in spite of this temptation, interestingly enough, he chooses not to follow this. He chooses to not follow these carnal desires, these temptations that exist in all of us, even when he has more temptation than any of us. And at the same time, when he'd have every excuse to fall into temptation, half his kids don't even live to 5. And the one son that does survive to become his heir is the son that he didn't want to be his heir, right? And I wish to talk about Marcus Aurelius because he represents a very interesting idea, I suppose, a very interesting character in history, the Stoic ideal. He's such a great guy, You look at his story, you read the Meditations, where this kings who are usually, snobby and prideful, stereotypically, and he's not that. You think, wow, this is a really great guy, I wish I knew him personally. No, of course you don't. What if he knew you? Even if you do the right job, he's gonna go, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're really just doing what you ought to do, and doing what you ought to do is reward in of itself. It's virtue, right? Now, I think that stoicism, and I'm very much, keep in mind, stealing from Micheal Segrue's speech on Marcus Aurelius throughout this entire video, because I'm bored and it's 12 in the morning and I'm honestly tired, but I gotta get a video out, right? Because that keeps the discipline up. Stoicism represents the everyday virtues available to anyone, It's not the Socratic, intellect that you have to cultivate over time, nor is it the, I suppose, absurdist, love of the world, of the absurdity of the world that you have to think about. It doesn't require a profound intellect to understand, because it is quite a simple concept in and of itself. It's this everyday virtue accessible to everyone. Back to Plato's society, Plato, he did this would be very good for, I suppose, the bronze people, the soldiers of this world. No, that was the silver ones, actually. I'm working on it, all right? Gotta lock in here a little bit. Yeah. Now, Marcus Aurelius writes a story, a book to himself, giving himself advice, which is something that I've copied in my personal life. I've written 37 pages of this. Is it this one? Yes, it is. Now, of course, they're nowhere near the level of Marcus, but they're written in the same style. I addressed to myself as you, and perhaps one day, if I ever achieve anything of actual merit with my life, people will read this and try to derive something from it, which is part of the reason why I write so vaguely, because this prideful part of me, I suppose, wants people to read it and to understand it. But I put this, a page of this little book to myself in ChatGPT, and I mentioned how it was written in the same style of Marcus Aurelius, and it was like, wow, what a good idea. It really represents the Stoic ideal. You're not necessarily writing to myself, to anyone, for any pride or anything, but really to yourself. And I was like, wow, I am not doing that at all. So maybe I should try to go more nitty-gritty into the personal everyday examples. Because right now I'm writing on a very large scale. I find it's something closer to a general philosophical book that you could give to anyone than a letter to myself. So maybe I could focus on that in the coming days. But anyways, just wanted to ramble a little bit about Marcus Aurelius, why he's such an interesting figure. And I suppose it'd be most meaningful, most poetic to end this in the same way that Micheal Sugrue, who I mentioned earlier, Professor Micheal Sugrue, how he finished his talk on Marcus Aurelius. Now, to alliterate a little bit, because I don't remember the exact quote, it would go something like this. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that all men die, but that not all men die whining. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that everyone suffers, but not everyone pities themselves. Something to take home with you. Mull it over.